Thought I'd welcome you into my mad lab here, introduce you to some of the stuff I'm working on. Because, for example, I don't know. I'm actually a published author. When you look it up, though, you don't look up Conan, you look up Rise of the Warrior Queen, yeah. And it's actually inspired by the real Conan books, the Robert E. Howard books. Although the opening scene is inspired by the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan movie. But other than that, it's really inspired by all the original Robert E. Howard Conan books. And then there's my rough draft for my manuscript for Diary of Nightmares and Dreams. And because of the way that this is done right now, especially because of the font, that's actually right now it's about 250 pages, 275 pages maybe. But when the font is corrected, that's going to be, even the way it's done, I still got to finish writing some stuff in it, but even the way it is right now, that's probably a 400 page book, and that's with a couple incomplete stories in there. That's Lilith. I'm writing that by hand. And then there's actually a sequel to The Rise of the Warrior Queen because, if you really wanted to, I guess you could pause it and you could read that, but that's the opening to the sequel for that book. And then, I'm surrounded by guitars, my artwork. That's one of 3 pieces that I've completed that are my own. The other 2 pieces are in private hands, but that one's with me. My beloved 12 string. But yeah, I'm surrounded by art and imagery and all kinds of different inspiration. Japanese music, Navajo, geometric. Yeah, I surround myself with influence. But that's a little bit into the world of where I come from. That's my canon. That's long story behind that. But yeah, I am a photographer. Michigan State University graduate. I have them around here somewhere. I gotta frame them, but they're here somewhere, put up, safe. But yeah, gonna be doing some online courses through Berkeley for graphic arts to improve on that. But there's a lot that goes on in the background of Petey Gone Mad Arts, and it's all me. But I surround myself with him. In reality, there's about $2,000 in artwork that's put up because I've bought it all because I have the rights to use it as templates. So it's all stuff that I have the right to use. I made sure I bought specific stuff with that to do that. So in reality, that $2,000 probably worth $100,000 after it's all reproduced. There's a lot of stuff I've been doing in the background with Petey Gone Mad Arts, and it's just been taking me a long time to rebuild it. I still have to finish my website, but yeah, I'm always working on something. Here you can see all my different books that I'm working on. Here's my full manuscript that's online. Vampire. This actually starts in Vietnam. You could pause it and read the first couple lines of it. It's pretty interesting. It takes place way in the future though, but it starts in 1967. This here's, oh yeah, this is Ocala, something I've been working on for quite a while. This is one of my songs. Actually, I have that recorded. Yeah, that's actually recorded. I have a version of that online. That's the Blood of Kings. Betrayal of Liberty is something I've been working on for, no, what's that? That's the wrong one. Yeah, here we go. I've been working on this for a long time, but I gotta get up to Jacksonville, because this is my Pearl Harbor. This is based on true events that took place in 1967. There's a typo there. I see June 8th, 1968. It's June 8th, 1967. But, yeah. It's called Betrayal of Liberty. It's based on a true story, but there's things in it that are going to be different because, there's a story about this young couple. They met at a party, and I changed their story a lot. I keep the love story there, but I changed their story a lot. I give the guy credit. He died a hero no matter what anyone thinks, but I change the way he died because it's not meant to be a historically correct story. It's just meant to be based on the history so that people will know the truth, because the United States isn't the only country that does horrible, horrible, horrible things to its allies. And what was done to us on that day to try to drag us into a war. They tried to frame another country is what really happened that day. Another country was supposed to be blamed for that. And the war that would have history's horrible when you learn history. So, but that's going to be my Pearl Harbor for those of you that know the movie I'm talking about, because it's based on historical events. Not everything in that movie is true though, and that's what this is going to be. This is going to be my Pearl Harbor. I'm going to finish writing this after I finish writing Lilith. But like I said, I got to get up. There's a bar up there in Jacksonville, because there's things about the story I've changed, and so the bar is actually a big part of it. Is actually one of the characters. The bar is a character because the bar is a part of this movie. That's where, when they're home, that's where everybody is. They're at that bar in Jacksonville because for the story they come out of Jax, out of NAS there. But yeah. So, it's not 100% correct. It's just based on what really happened. It starts with a whole conspiracy. I create a whole new conspiracy theory behind the assassination of John F. Kennedy. I connect it to Operation Ruby Stone. Yeah, I make this whole new conspiracy theory. I connect all these little and some people are going to read it and they're going to be like, oh my God. I have no love for Lyndon Johnson, so I don't care what people think about the man after they read the book. But yeah, I created a horrible, horrible, horrible conspiracy theory. But like I said, this is my Pearl Harbor. It's going to be a really good book, but I got to finish Lilith first. I'm writing Lilith by hand. I actually have to go back and I have to rewrite the fight scene between between the Archangel Michael and the last Earthbound Anunnaki jocks. Jaqus, jocks, in case you're wondering how that would be spelled. But yeah, he's the last Earthbound Anunnaki. And I have to go back and rewrite some things with the fight scene because I finally figured out how Lilith is going to end. People have different ways that they write. I normally write the ending of the story, like the Rise of the Warrior Queen. The very last line in that book is the very first line I wrote down on paper, and then I wrote a whole story in a month to get to that last line in one take. Unlike everything else that it has rough drafts and multiple rough drafts and some stuff I'm in my second and third final drafts now, trying to still tweak things. That was written in one draft. There's only one single copy of that story that exists. The only thing they changed in that when it went into editing is the layout of it, and really wasn't even that many typos. It wasn't typos. There was because of names is what they wanted to change. So I had to correct them on that those names are supposed to be older names, like Thomas, which will later on become Thomas, but taking place in a different time, so it's actually Thomas. That's why it's spelled the way it is. And things like that. Loriana, Merliana, very important character, Merliana, because it lays out a whole bloodline and a whole history, and it's the whole starting point of a whole nother legend. And I tie Conan and that legend together so that I can keep making this series of stories. So yeah, my editor loves it. Every time I talk to him, he's like, it should be, he keeps insisting it should be a New York Times bestseller. First of all, it's a novella, it's not a novel, so and second of all, it was the first thing I wrote since I left high school. I left high school when I was 17 years old. I wrote that when I was 47 years old. 48 years old. 47 or 48 years old, I wrote that. So 30 years. It was the very first thing I ever wrote. In 30 years. So, but that's a little bit about, what goes on here and the Mad Lab. Like I said, I just surround myself with culture, love culture. There's actually my cover for Lilith. That's my artwork. But yeah, this is Petey Got Mad Art. Building it all from the ground up. I gotta find somebody to help me finish my website because things have changed so much in the last 10 years and I don't know how to do anything anymore on it. And so I need someone to help me finish rebuilding my website. I gotta rebuild that completely from scratch. I have everything I need. I just don't know how to put it together. But I have everything I need. I've paid for everything. I own everything. I own my own domain and everything. I just need to get with somebody to help me put the whole thing back together. But by this time next year, talking about things by this time next year, I have all kinds of things I'm working on. I even have my own. These are my shoes. That's my design. I wear my stuff. I have a couple things in my closet that I've designed, but I wear my stuff. But yeah, See? That's me. That is me. I am real. And these are my shoes. And they're handmade in Italy. These are... I did this out in the woods. That's completely my fault. Because I ride my four-wheeler on these things. I ride my bike with these things. I go fishing. These are really amazing quality shoes. And they're shoes. They're made to look like sneakers, but they're shoes. But they really do look like sneakers, but they are shoes. And then, let's see. Sorry, I gotta sign in. I can't let you guys see my... Okay, here we go. Alright, and I also have a shoe that I'm getting ready to launch. Actually, I have two shoes I'm ready to launch. Let's see. This one here, I'm going to be launching soon. But these are my own shoes. I designed these. I designed those. Those are my shoes. They're based on this sneaker, actually. But this here is a woman's high heel based on this sneaker. It's all based on, it's inspired by the movie Joe Black. It's based on the Grim Reaper. But yeah, those are my shoes. And then I also have these, which I'm going to be launching again shortly. In the next 2 weeks, I'm probably going to have these. These are inspired by gamers. That's why it's called the Hustle. That's a gamer-inspired shoe. That's python, leather, suede. I designed that. I designed the box. It's a badass shoe. I designed all of that though. That's mine. So like I said, I have my hands on a lot of stuff. So, but that's what Petey Got Mad Arts is, man. Petey Got Mad Arts is the arts. That's why, you know, that's the motto. More than just art, this is life. Because, I mean, for me, that's what my life is art. I love music, I love art, I love all the arts. Reading, poetry, different types of music, and different types of art. I love imagery. I love audible stimulation. Just anything that's artistic. That's always been my thing, is art. Anything artistic. And that's what Petey Got Mad Arts is. It's just art. No matter what it is, if it's art, I want a part of that. So that's Petey Got Mad Arts.